still in the same space when you're not.
And do those tricks involve any manipulations on your part, or do you take every clip as an absolutely found object to be joined with every other without any alterations, or do you get in and start playing?
No, you have to alter the sound quality. In some cases, I even had to redo the soundtrack. For instance, when a character in the movie is reflecting, or when there's a voiceover, it usually references time past. And because I wanted everything to be in the present, if there isn't a dialogue coming out of the mouths of the actors, I can erase the sound and reconstruct it. So that means, you know, recreating the sound effects, maybe putting music from the previous clip into that clip. And so there's a lot of work. I did the work here in New York with a sound designer who I've worked with for almost 2 decades, and we worked on this for a long time as well. So yeah, there's a lot of back and forth, you know, and all these processes more or less happened at the same time, but the sound was really the final kind of element that brought everything together.
You present the clock in an environment that's somewhere between theatrical and a club. And I know you're quite precise about the way you want us to see it and interact with it. You want to describe what the environment you're looking for and why?
Well, the clock is very different from a movie. A movie has, you know, lasts between average, the length of a movie is about 2 hours. So, you know, we all come together within the theater, and then we all leave when it's over together. The clock, you have to decide when you come in and when you leave. This is your own choice, unless it's a big line that you don't have much of a choice, but you can decide when to leave. And I don't want that movement within the space to be distracting for the other viewers. So the idea behind this type of presentation, which kind of emulates a little bit a movie theater, but is not quite a movie theater because there's a lot of room between the couches for people to move around without disturbing their fellow viewers. So. It requires a different type of architecture. Of course, we discussed at some point, you know, presenting it in this atrium, but you quickly will realize that the reason why we didn't do it, it's like, you know, this is like a very resonant space. It is open to the outside, and we discussed the possibility of building a tent, building a structure within it, which would be too time-consuming and expensive. And so we've finally found a solution, and we carved a space out of the contemporary galleries. And you'll see it works very well, and I'm very happy with the presentation. So yeah, and the acoustic is really important. That's why we you know, put curtains up of sound-absorbing materials in order to dampen the echo and have a neutral sound environment in which I can then balance the sound and make it look right and feel right, sound right.
You said something that I've been pondering, and I think is one of the reasons the clock resonates perhaps so much for all of us, and that is that everything's in the present. And almost everything we do has an immediate past, and of course a proliptic future that we're anticipating, and somehow for the time you're in the clock you don't have a past. Everything is absolutely it's in a way it stands still.
You still have a past because these clips are very often familiar, and so it triggers a memory reflex in a way. Oh, I recognize so and so, and I've seen this movie, what was it? And then before you can answer that question, you're in another, you know, environment with another film. So it's that tension between the present and the past, because if once it's recorded, it is the past. And so every film is, you know, even a futuristic film, is a science fiction film about the future, is the past. So by bringing everything in this present, there is this weird tension.
Do you have favorite moments? Are there passages that you find most compelling and interesting, or you just?
I think there's so many little moments. There's definitely a crescendo at midnight, because midnight is the movie hour. Something terrible is always happening at midnight, and sometimes at noon too. Noon is pretty good. If some of you are going to be here, you'll experience noon. Usually something important happens on the hour, but I also like 3 or 4 in the morning when things are kind of weird, and of course we're not as alert as we are now. 3 in the morning, except for a few people, we're usually tired, and that kind of physical quality of our lives influences the way we perceive the film. So if you're tired and someone is yawning on the screen and is trying desperately to go to sleep, that's going to affect the way you see it. Those kind of moments of identification with what's happening on the screens is really important.
Speaking of 3 in the morning, I just want to remind everyone that as of December 31st, we will screen 24 hours. So you're here December 31st into January 1st. The clock will be running 24 hours, and then weekends thereafter until the clock closes on January 21st. So sleep late in the morning, because you'll have already seen earlier parts. Don't forget to come late and enjoy the early hours. Let me turn this over to all of you for a moment and see if you have any questions. Yes? Well, hold on, we'll get you a microphone, because it is in fact quite hard to hear you.